So just before we start getting into this next interview, no John Gershner stuff this time.
Absolutely.
That's good. He's done. Okay.
Anytime.
So you're at RPTS. Where does Elineke fit in this? Is she come into your life at RPTS or after RPTS?
After RPTS, I met Elineke on the night of my ordination.
Right.
Yeah. So I was called to Walton and moved to Walton in July of 1995. July 2nd is when I rolled into Walton. And my ordination was to be on July 14th, I think it was. And of course, Walton is heavily involved in White Lake summer camp.
Uh-huh.
And Elineke was a counselor at
Right.
White Lake.
Right.
So now, she's Canadian.
Uh-huh.
This is going to be a confusing story. So let's just say that her sister had a friend. My wife's sister had a friend.
As sisters do.
As sisters do. Who was an American who would go to White Lake. If that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Because even as I'm saying it, it sounds confusing.
It's okay. It ends well.
It
It's a
ends
story
well,
that
that's
ends well.
right. Anyway, so Elineke found out about White Lake and the opportunity to be a counselor there through her sister's friend.
Uh-huh.
And so she agreed and she drove down and she was there serving as a counselor. Then they hear about this installation that's taking place an hour away at an RP church, and she and all these other counselors show up on July 14th. And so I got connected to two brides on the same night.
Right. Uh-huh. What was the first bride like in terms of what was Walton like? Had you preached in Walton much before your call? Had you done a summer internship or anything there? How did they come to find out about you?
At the time, right after seminary, at the end of seminary, I had received 3 calls, and one of them was Walton.
Okay.
One was Cyprus.
Yep.
The other was Coldenham, Newburgh.
Yep.
And then Walton was the third.
Had you been to Cyprus before? Were you the actual island of Cyprus?
No.
No.
But I had a few conversations with Adam Mistries.
Correct. Yeah.
And I had this desire to do evangelism and that kind of thing, and we seemed to get along well. Yeah. And so he was thinking, we want to call you. And then Coldenham Newburgh hadn't officially made the call, but they told me, we're holding a meeting on such and such date, and we will be calling you on that date. So I knew that was going to happen. And then I had candidated, because I did go to Coldenham Newburgh, and I preached there.
Uh-huh. So what drew your heart to Walton? Do you remember?
It was a pastoral council, from Ed Robeson, who was a great professor to me in terms of his pastoral care, his heart to help students in ministry.
Yes.
And because I knew that these 3 calls were coming, and I had no idea how to discern them. And when I would go and talk to people, and of course, it's understandable, people didn't want to try to influence or anything.
Right.
You really have to lay that before the Lord. And
Which sounds nice, but it's difficult when you're looking for counsel in terms of that time in your life. You really want someone to say, well, there's the benefits, there's the pluses, there's the minuses. But people are reticent. Yeah,
that's right. And then the call from Walton came. I had candidated, and the call from Walton came, and I had it written out. Cyprus was going to call, and the Foreign Missions Board was thinking that I would be a great fit for that. And then there was the Coldenham Newburgh. So I went to different professors at the seminary and different elders in the church, and I was asking, how do I determine, and again, all this direction. And then Ed Robeson said, young man, let's go up to eat. And so he took me to Burger King, and we sat down, and we had milkshakes and hamburgers. But right away, Pastor Robeson said, Cyprus is not the place for you. As a single young man, the liabilities are too great.
Mm-hmm.
You shall not go. You should not
Right.
go. And I never thought at all about, how do you know? But I just thought, what a tremendous relief.
Uh-huh.
That is really helpful.
Uh-huh.
And then he looked at the call from Walton, read over it, thought about it, and he had said, I really think, given that this is what's before you, that this is probably the way to go. You should accept that.
Mhm.
And so I
Took that
took
counsel?
that. I took
Mhm.
that counsel. So then came the night of the ordination service. St. Lawrence Presbytery coming to conduct that service, and these counselors from White Lake were there, and Elineke was among them. And she will say that I did not know that she was there, but oh, I did.
And now it's
That's
on
right.
record. That's great.
That's right.
So how long were you the minister of Walton?
6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. 6
And
years.
you started a friendship with Elineke during that 6-year time?
Well, during that summer, that
Yeah,
first summer.
okay.
So we met on the 14th of July.
Uh-huh.
And that next week I was down at
Yeah.
White Lake getting to know her. And then she came the next Lord's Day evening with more.
Uh-huh. That sounds very like a previous one that I did with Alan MacLeod, where he talked about the fact that he was talking to this girl, and the next day he went and spoke to her. It seems the same pattern.
Yeah, that's right. Well, then she came with 2 other counselors the next Lord's Day evening, at the evening service, and I invited everybody over to the manse afterward. Now, at the manse at the time, the Walton manse, a huge house.
I was going to say.
It didn't have a stick of furniture in it.
Right.
So I was sleeping in a sleeping bag upstairs, and I had like a couple of fold-out
Uh-huh.
chairs there for the first year. But they were there. We're on the veranda, the front, the porch, and I'm sitting here. Elineke's sitting here, and then there were 2 other counselors there, all young ladies.
Uh-huh.
But of course, I'm very interested in Elineke. And she said, now you guys believe in exclusive psalmody. And I said, yes. And the response I gave was very dismissive and arrogant.
Oh.
The reason why is because Elineke is so attractive that I thought that there was this is totally wrong,
Uh-huh.
but I thought there's some kind of almost formula that the more attractive a woman is, the less her theology it's going to be. It's totally bad. And so I thought, I said, yeah, it's right. And I just kind of dismissed it, and she fired back with, and then we got into an argument, and that's when I was really thought, okay, this is
the one for me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If it were
The
possible.
providence of God.
If it were possible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so then I would go to White Lake like every day, and thankfully the White Lake the Walton congregation were encouraging me to do that all the time. Be part of White Lake meetings, so I could just go down and of course Elineke and I got along so well right from the beginning.
That's good.
Sense of humor and
Everything.
Also just talking about theology and that kind of thing.
So you'll be forever thankful for that American girl's sister who had a friend.
Yeah, that's right.
And he came to the ordination service.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing how God in His providence works in our lives. And it's individual people. It's people. It's contacts with people. Sometimes we look back and think, well, I made that decision, or I made that decision. But when we actually process it, we think, no, it was actually a person that God used in my life.
That's exactly right, yeah. Yeah, so that's something we really have to continually teach ourselves, that providence isn't something that we should learn after the fact.
Correct.
But while we're in the midst of it.
And enjoy the grace of God.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's good. That's brilliant. I'm glad that you had someone who was able to take you on in terms of their position in theology, and although you did win her heart. That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Okay.
Thanks.